this presentation here now, I will be chatting with Lena, but before I do that, I want to share as regards what the Orinoco Flows is about, what this community is about. The dreams, the mission statement with Orinoco Flows is that it is about um, mothers and children and families being connected with their child star to have them have that experience in their life. This is what we are about. And the Orinoco Flows, it's linked to a river. It has deep links for me with my ancestral line. And since we have started this project, many of us, well, Sarah and Christiana and myself have had experiences which are not quote unquote something you would normally expect, and it arises from that. And the Orinoco Flows is really a healing space. And in the presentations that we do, in the recordings that we make, this can occur for people listening to it, being present with it. So give yourself the opportunity to have it as an experience that you're a part of rather than just an intellectual process of words from me or thoughts from me. The space itself carries that. And the intention about what this is about that and connecting people with their child star, with women with their child star, and especially around the birth experience and childhood and families, that this link becomes accessible and it's quite simple and it facilitates better communication with the subconscious mind. So thank you for your interest in this. Thanks for being here. Um, Before I'm going to do meditation here this evening, but before that, I want to talk a little bit about how all of this really is for me. As regards how it really began, yes, I shared about the experience with Lena and the treatment and the whole devotional aspect and what transformed for her. But before that, it's my childhood. And in my childhood, here it was, growing up as a child in Trinidad, in a place in Port of Spain called Belmont. Belmont is a very sort of rootsy place, especially the Valley Road where I grew up. And it was a strong community, and everybody knew everyone, and the elders had a big influence on one. And you would be going around I'd be going around as a child with my friends, and we go into a yard and we say good morning, or if you don't say it properly, they will call you. And if I start speaking the Queen's English, they would call me about it and would remind me that my mother doesn't speak that way, neither does my father, and who do you think I am? So the dialect was always there. By the way, my parents both knew the Queen's English, but at home, it was a dialect that was spoken. So within that context, my parents, certain things would occur in the day, like the grasshopper would appear, and my mother would say, da 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 da, that will happen. As a child growing up, I would say, well, how you could say that? Why you say that? She would say, child, don't ask stupid questions. Just watch, you will see. And so it was the aspect of cutting out the logical mind as regards experiences or communication was embedded in me, because that was how it was. My father had the capacity to, they were both at 100%. And so I grew up with this education, which was at 100%. I didn't sort of connect with it in that way then, but as as life has continued and the years have passed, when I connected with the 9-star key, this started to switch on. As I mentioned, I didn't believe the stuff I was reading. I viewed it as a historical document, and it was only in August 1979, when Mountbatten was assassinated, things was like, this is relevant now. This is not just about history, because from the instructions, there's a whole aspect of directionology, which is part of the 9-star key, and everything was spot on as regards such a thing could possibly happen, moving in that direction, etc. So I'm sharing that here, or mentioning that as regards to when you're listening, when you're here in the space about the Orinoco flows, rather than try to work it out, rather than try to come from a logical mind, what I want to invite you is to have a feeling about it, to have an experience of like how this feels. Sometimes it may feel like wow, wow, or sometimes I guess it may feel like, I'm not so sure. Just give that space, because that will allow you in a way to speak about it as if you're sitting in a restaurant. That will allow you to taste what is present rather than wonder what is in the menu. Drop what is in the menu and be more with what the experience is as regards what you're tasting or what you're experiencing. This would be a more, how best to put it, relevant way of dealing with it. So thanks for hearing me with that. I'm going to start now um, with the meditation, and the meditation is linked to the Orinoco, the actual river. And before I begin, I want to make a suggestion that as you listen to me, have a sense of letting go at the back of your navel, like giving your sense more space at the back of your navel. Have a sense of your feet being flat on the ground, wherever you are, on the floor, wherever you are, just flat. And with your feet flat on the ground, have a sense of a softness in the arches of your feet. Um, Allow your breathing to be comfortable and easy. This sort of attitude towards your body facilitates allowing you to access the alpha brainwave frequency with your listening. So I just want to suggest that as something to do. You could close your eyes, you could have your eyes open, that choice is yours. So here we are, standing at the spring of where the Orinoco River begins in Venezuela. It's up on the mountains, and we are standing there. It's in the afternoon in Venezuela now. It's around like 3 o'clock, a bit after 3 o'clock. It's in the northern hemisphere. There's some blue skies. My sense is there are some clouds around, but we are standing there. Allow yourself to be present to the sound of the Orinoco. However that is for you, have a sense of when you're listening, there's a sound of a river and the water coming out from this spring at the top of this mountain, and you are standing there. That uplifting energy of the water streams into your being. You feel it rising from your feet, through your ankles, up into your knees, into the pelvic area, up along your spine, creating a greater sense of spaciousness. And then it eases also into your arms, up through your neck, and it rolls over the crown of your head. So you are embodied in the experience of the Orinoco. That spirit of that river is now part of who you are, is now part of your being there, and allow that to start creating more space in your being, a sense of more space in the sense of a greater feeling of letting go, of allowing. of feeling, of giving yourself permission to have a smile on your face, of giving yourself permission to feel some joy moving in your heart, giving yourself permission to opening up to new possibilities in life, giving yourself permission to also have a sense of being right here standing. A healing process can begin for you, whatever that is, at whatever level, be it be it physical, be it mental, be it emotionally, be it spiritually, be it at some ancestral level, be it at whatever level. Here, standing at the beginning, at the origin of the Orinoco, we are being nourished, we are being blessed with this energy of this water, the companionship that the Orinoco is offering is present for us. Give that room, give it space, allow it to continue even when we end this, my presentation about it, even when we end this meditation, that it can still be there in at a cellular level in your being. It can still remain nourishing you because it is always there. The Orinoco River is always there. Having access to it, this moment that I'm sharing in this meditation gives you that key to have access to it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Orinoco. Thanks for your listening. Thanks for being present. Thank you. Welcome back to wherever you are as the Orinoco continues to flow. And that music playing, it's an embodiment of the Orinoco. It's a composition and arranged by my cousin Greg, who has a connection with that Orinoco because my grandmother Flora is also part of her being, is also his grandmother also. So there we are listening. Let's enjoy some music. It's also the whole thing about feeling. It's the whole aspect of this being a dynamic experience for us rather than just blah blah blahing the whole evening. So let's listen to some music and let that bathe us. Thank you. Thank you, Christiana. Thank you. Welcome. And before I begin chatting with Lena, I also want to thank Sarah and Christiana because they are the ones who have drawn me in, and especially Sarah right at the beginning. Rex, you got to bring this information out. You got to share it with people because she saw the benefits in her own practice. So thank you. And Sarah and Christiana has a lot to offer because they work in the craniosacral area and the whole aspect of peri and prenatal. These things would be shared in the new year with our presentations. So thank you both. Lena, welcome. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, thanks for making the time to join us. And last week you asked me a provocative question about love, and then I responded about devotion, and we can talk some more about that. Or if you had some other aspects to tell me or to suggest or whatever.
No, when we're talking about it, I was asking you where you come from when you suggest things, and
Okay.
if it was from love or if it was from another aspect or another direction.
Okay.
And you didn't really answer that, did you?
No, I will answer it now.
Yeah.
Lena's bringing me back to the school situation because this was the type of environment that I taught in, where they would, say, but you didn't answer it as yet or whatever. So I'm very familiar with this way of interacting. Where I come from with my work, or if I'm with a client, or with just chatting or sharing things with a friend, basically it is supporting. I come from a place of supporting, with an attitude of care. And that is not just in my head, that is really in like my energy field. So there's a quality of caring that is just present. As regards to that is love, yes, I think inherently it is love, but at times I have to drop back from that and be in a place of devotion, because sometimes, even though that is the attitude or the energy that I'm carrying, at times I can be in situations where who I am or how I'm presenting myself, there's a lot of judgments around that. So rather than I react to that, I just come from devotion. I smile. I give space to whatever may be going on. So I stay in a way devoted to a commitment to be compassionate in the situation.
Okay.
That is that is always easy. No, it isn't always easy, but at least that is my intention. So yeah. I'm a bit more specific to answer your question with how I can be in situations where, you know, how I'm presenting myself or who I am is difficult. This has come up especially in the last 8 years, 10 years, and predominantly so in the last 5, 6 years. And that has a lot to do with, because some people who are quite sensitive, spiritual, or whatever would be the right word with that, at times my energy, there's a lot of ancestral energy around my being, and that disturbs them. And I'm then told to send them to the light, whatever that means. So in that context, they're not realizing that, it's nothing to do with me. They have come. I mean, like, the prison experience, my uncle was there in the cell. Then when I was coming out of prison, blood came out from my left nipple. So it's like part of my biological experience. But some people pick up on that. So that indigenous part has become just more quote unquote, for some people, more prevalent. And I have to own it. It's not something I can step back from. So hence devotion is where I come from, because and I need to talk more about that and write more about that. And I'm not coming from any anger or bitterness, not at all. It's just there's that level of ignorance in the world. At times you'd have to deal with these kind of things. So that's my in-depth answer, Lena. Does
And
that
I want to
answer
ask
it
you
now?
something, Rex, just because I have insider's information.
Okay.
I remember the cliffhanger that Lena asked last week, and I know your place of devotion because you've shared that with Sarah and I through the journey of this development of Orinoco Flows. But as soon as she asked that question again today, I smiled and I laughed, almost like I have a secret in my heart. Because I know too that right now, the place that you come from a lot in your work is with this child star that you have been embodying the 9-star key, and with your devotion and the information that you have learned from it and how you've been gifting it, to clients, and now how we've been gifting it to women in particular, and in the birthing communities, this relationship that you can have with your subconscious mind. So I was just curious more about sharing with others our secret about the Orinoco and this child star as it applies to your work and where you're going with it.
You're talking to me, or you're talking?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it's really about, there's so much guidance that is present. And yes, I have books written about the 9-star key, all of that, but there's much more. And the healing aspect about it is so present. And I have to also mention mysterious. Today I went I go for a walk most days. And when I went for this walk, I went down there's a jetty where I walk at times. And for the first time, and I've been walking there for about the last 5 years, that jetty sees me at least once, twice, sometimes 5 times a week. And for the first time, I saw a lot of birds, be it ducks or birds on the water, like easily more than 200. And this was a big surprise to me. I never saw that before. Sometimes, of course, there are swans that I see. This was like that. And then I walked away. I sort of, quote unquote, like I did like an offering to the water. In fact, let me be very open with you all as regards, what I'm about. So I put it, I use essential oils a lot. So I put a drop, like an offering, to the water and to the birds. And then I went back to a place where I sit on this rock by this tree. And I saw the birds lining up in a straight line. More than 200. I never saw that before. They're all they're in the army. And there's a sergeant major. And this touched me, and I'm still digesting that experience. And that, for me, that had some level of healing for me that I can't put words on. So it is about these kinds of things, especially around water, because water is 70% of our being, that I'm very devoted to discover more. And in the stories that we would hear with participants in our community, with members of our community, I know this will grow. Sorry for my long-winded answer, but anyhow.
Well, and I know you're going to ask Lena some questions, and I just was curious from the audience that's here with us today. We've sent out invitations to people to join us to learn more about the child star in order to gain access to their subconscious mind. And I'm just curious, what is your question around that in the audience? Like, what would you want to know more about yourself? Or what health challenges do you have in your life? Or I guess one of the ways I put it is, if you knew yourself better, what would you want to get more essence in your life of? And if you just inviting everybody in the chat, if that's clear, like while Rex is posing some more questions to Lena to peel back the layers of what is the child star, maybe people could share with us in the chat so we get a better idea of why you're here. Because I know later we're going to also reveal an audience, a person in the audience from last week's call, and Rex is going to do a miniature reading of their child star to give you a flavor of what it is. And you're going to get a little bit of that too with Lena, and interacting with the questions that Rex has for her and how the child star applied to her. So I'll just make that invitation open for everyone. What is it that you want to gain more of in your life by having a better relationship with your subconscious mind? Okay, Rex.
It seems silence rules, so give it space. Lena, and you know, I think, of course, some things may come up as we go along, so, you know, let that unfold how it unfolds. So, because this evening I want to chat with Lena like for children, and she sharing their birth dates, and I talking a bit, and she can correct me or acknowledge or whatever, and we just kind of explore things so people could get again, it's like being in the restaurant, people will get a flavor of certain meals without getting in much into the menu of what, you know, the menu is. But anyhow, so where shall we start, Lena?
It's your I don't know things about the nine star. I don't remember. So I can tell you my kids.
No, it's you just giving me birth dates. It's not, okay. You don't have to tell me any, it's just you giving me birth dates.
So, I've got 3 children. The oldest is born 31st of March 1990. The second, so you want all 3 of them?
No, just we'll start with one, and then we go to the other. And okay, so and Jennifer is your daughter's name, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Jennifer, 1990, and again, just listen, and you know, there are calendars about this, and all those kinds of things will happen, you know, as time moves on. But anyways, but her daughter is a 1 water as an adult, and the child star is the 7 metal, being born in March. And the 7 metal is very much about harmony. It's very much about an artistic expression. It's very much about bringing beauty in the world, or finding ways of discovering beauty for people. It's very much a big sort of, how best to put it, drive or interest or motivation. Any comments?
Yes, it is like that.
Mm-hmm. And that situation has qualities of the need for like a kinesthetic aspect about it, rather than just being in the head or intellectually playing with images or shifting designs or whatever. Some part of it, there's some need of a feeling needs to be involved, like a kinesthetic aspect to it.
Yeah, she's very physical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments about that? Because I mean, I learned from these experiences. I mean, you would have seen other things as regards her art, and I know some of that from before, but I don't know where she has reached now with any of that.
No, she's in the film. She's in the film. Her sister is in the art business, but Jen is in the film business. But I mean, she talks a lot about beauty and love and sharing and harmony. She talks a lot about it, and she's very unhappy if it's not there.
You mean not there in the sense of in her workspace or in her life or
Yeah,
in
or
communicating?
home situation or in relationships or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is thanks for bringing that up. That whole aspect of the harmony is very important for the somebody with a seven metal child star.
Mm.
We see it, of course, the expressions would be different for different people. Marvin Gaye carried a seven metal child star, and the whole thing about what's going on, the whole thing with the environment, all of that was such a large part of his music. Of course, in a very different level, Frank Sinatra carries a seven metal child star, and the whole ways of how he used his voice and the harmonics that he brought to it, and how it needed to feel about that. I mean, anyway, I don't want to digress into
But is it also,
the
Rex, is
other
it
lot
also,
of other personalities. Sorry, go ahead,
sorry,
Lena.
is it also regarding the feeling in her body? Is that also, is it the same thing?
Yeah, there's a feeling in the body, but the feeling in the body with the seven metal is also with what you're doing. That it like bringing a good feeling with what you're doing, with what you're involved in. Rather,
Okay.
it's very challenging. Well, for most of us, it is challenging, but it's very challenging for a seven metal child star person who carries that to be doing things that they don't have a good feeling with. That's very
Yeah,
difficult. Like just, like they're just doing work because they have to earn the money, but they don't have a good feeling. That's very stressful.
that's very difficult for her.
Okay, no, no, no. I'm
Yes,
just
it is.
sharing. But I don't know if
Yeah.
some people in the audience or some of our part, who are here with us have any comments or who may. Anyway, of course, they may not know their pattern. But anyway, so that is very present with her. You want to mention one of your other children? They're with.
Can I just say she's pregnant now? So,
Okay, all right. So,
uh,
so what do you want to share with that, or what do you want to say with
no,
that?
if
Or
you, how, I mean, if it's anything I can tell her that that would be good for her and a baby.
aha, okay.
Uh,
So the key aspect with her, because okay, this is general, and this would be kind of highlighted a lot throughout these presentations that we do over the months, over the years, or whatever. When a woman is pregnant, it is very important that her child star is constantly nourished.
okay.
That one aspect is a key aspect, because when that is happening, and the second aspect with that, and I'm not going to go deep into it here this evening, but the second aspect also is like enjoying, or when having a meal, that there's some joy around it. If even at times she doesn't feel to eat or whatever, but it's like a little kind of ceremony or whatever, because that also contributes to the oxytocin in the body.
Okay.
Because the upper digestive system has a big correlation also with facilitating more oxytocin in our systems. So, and this is so for all of us. This is not only with a woman who's pregnant. This is always so. But I highlight that aspect of restoring that. So that is one part, and the other part is like the textures of the clothes that she's wearing, the bed sheets, the how it feels next to her skin. This she needs to acknowledge that, and rather than figure she's being a prima donna, like, I need this or I need that. No, she needs to listen to that, like, I want something softer, or I prefer this or that. That shouldn't be put as, like lower down on the, how best to put it, on her priorities, having that as a priority. And of course, the choice is always hers, how she wants to play with that. But I mean, I'm just giving some guidelines with that. Um, the opportunity to be in fresh air makes a big difference, because the seven metal, carrying a seven metal child star, that has to do with your skin, but it also has a lot to do with your lungs. So that fresh quality of air, of course, she's in a city, but going out to the countryside or going somewhere where the air is better, this helps tremendously. Those are some of my thoughts. And the key thing in these days, where she sleeps, no Wi-Fi.
I told her that already.
Yeah,
but I mean
the
that's
Wi-Fi
even when you're not pregnant,
situation, because this has a big impact on the baby. And there's some work done by a German physicist, Dr. Klinghardt. He's on YouTube and whatever, and he has done a lot of research, and he has indicated that autistic children, the high incidence is coming from the Wi-Fi, where the mother sleeps in a room where the Wi-Fi is on. Like, this has a big impact. And in his scientific work, he points out, and this is part of the aspect of the womb. He says, like, if in the room itself, the Wi-Fi, quote unquote, frequency, I'm talking random figures now, is a 10. In a woman's womb, it's at 200. It's 20 times that, the impact.
That's a
which
lot.
indicates that the space is a sacred space. A woman's womb is a sacred space. It's bringing creation into life. So that whole part. So Klinghardt has a lot of that. I think we will look in some of the posts to highlight certain areas of information or certain places. So yeah. So that would be those would be some thoughts that come to me at the moment with her as the 7 metal child star.
And Rex, I have a question. Since your daughter's name is Jenny, is that right?
Jennifer.
Jackie on the call, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rex, but her birthday is September 17th, 1966. It looks like she's a 7 metal child star as well as a 1 water
60,
adult.
Give me the date again.
66. And I looked up, I think she's a 7 metal child star.
Okay, that is the year in which 1966 would be a 7 metal star. That's an adult star. That's the year. But what is the month?
September 17th. So it looks like she's a
so
1
that's
water
a 1
child.
water. The 1 water, she carries a 1 water child star. The 7 metal is the adult star.
So I thought it was interesting because it's flipped.
It's okay. It's a reverse situation compared to Jennifer.
Yeah.
It's the opposite situation where the adult star is a 7 and the child star is at 1. I want to focus on the child star rather than on the thing, because and do not hear like that is not relevant, but really with the Orinoco Flows community, it is about the child star, because the child star is really the link to the subconscious mind. As regards
and that's great, Rex, because she put in there in the chat, and Jackie, I'm just going to speak what you read. She identifies herself as the slain healer, and she'd like to understand how she can come more into her power and essence without being threatened and defended. And you'll have to forgive me in my fatigue of traveling last night, but I reversed it. I was like, thinking she was the 7 metal child.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
I was like,
the computer will switch on and do the corrections. It's okay.
But I'm just curious around that.
Let me point something out. We're going a bit deeper with the conversation, but let me point something out. And we'll hear more about this from the Lady Birgit when she speaks about with her children and how, because there's something called the switching from the child star to the adult star. And at times, especially if the childhood has been an abusive one, or if the person's parents died, or they're in a war situation, and I mean war where bombs are dropping where you live, or a lot of fighting, then the child star becomes the adult star. So at times, some people identify more with the adult star out of from trauma in their early childhood or whatever, whereby they had to operate from their adult star because they had to start taking responsibility on themselves. So this can happen. I don't want to get into that aspect here this evening. I want to, keep it kind of very basic, but there is that aspect. And I can talk a lot more about that, and I will, but I just want to keep in this sort of flow with where we are and, chat
No,
some
that's
more.
wonderful, Rex, because you must have had a telepathic connection to the chat in the space, because that was also what Jackie brought up as her second question, was how can this be tied into pre and perinatal trauma? And you just answered it. And I know this is the whole point of the aspect of the community that we're trying to build, is to be able to put this kind of content out there for people to access, of understanding how, when the adult star has to come in, and how you can repair pre and perinatal trauma by nourishing, again, very simple, nourishing the child star, the element of the child star, and then these essences that I know you're going to continue on with Lena and give us some examples of what you've just done, like with her daughter, Jennifer, sleeping with nice soft sheets. That's simple, very simple.
Yes, Lena. Okay. So, and then your son, if I remember, when is his birthday?
I've got a daughter in between, Isa.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So, okay, that I'm not familiar with that, with your daughter who's in between, and her name is
Isa. Isadora, yes. And her birthday, you met her when she was little, actually. She was,
okay.
Yeah, when you had a class here in Stockholm, she was with us during the weekend. She was like 2 or 3 years old, something like that.
Okay.
93, she's born, and in 12th of November.
12th November 93.
Yes.
So 12th of November 93. So 93 is a 7 metal.
A lot of 7 metal.
Yeah, adult. That's the adult aspect. 7 is playing here this evening. I guess if some people are into the gambling, they're going to put that. And then the November would be a 8 Earth
8,
child
yes.
star. So the 7 with the 8. So yeah. So
the same as me.
That's a situation with your daughter, with Isa. So 8 Earth is very much the researcher, the one who wants to, they are looking at things, they are studying things, they reading libraries, museums, ancient stuff. At times may not be that sociable. Do not hear like they are not the 8 Earth child star is not social.
I am too.
Enjoys social company, but it can be at times the need for like just being by herself, or wants to read a book, or wants to listen to something, or just wants to go for a walk.
Not only once, not only once, it's most of the time for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, she's honoring her child star. I mean, so
yes.
The 8 Earth is like that. And do not, and they can have when they want to socialize, they can be the fun of the party. But at times when they don't want to socialize, do not try to push them. It's like, listen, I'm not going, I don't want to go, and I will not go. So the 8 Earth child star can have that. And one needs to honor that, rather than like the child has some social dysfunction. No, the child doesn't have, because that is how it would be read in many schools and many things. Like the child is very quiet, or at times it doesn't want to play, and they will put the child down as being socially dysfunctional. The child is not being socially dysfunctional. The child is honoring their 8 Earth child star.
I was actually letting her stay at home from time to time when she was little, when she was at school or in kindergarten. She hated kindergarten. And I mean, she hated school too, but I actually let her stay home from time to time just to reconnect with herself because she couldn't handle that.
Well, yeah, the thing with the aspect, well, let me talk because I carry an 8-year child now.
Me too.
So let me, and you too.
Mm.
So the aspect with school is like, there are two aspects with it. Well, for me, let me talk for myself. One aspect is like the teacher, who the teacher is and how they teach. And it's not so much about liking the teacher, it's not so much like, about the connection that, the teacher has to kind of give me a pat on back. I don't mean it that way, but how they teach or how they present the information, this is important. And if the teacher can allow enthusiasm in, like I as a student being enthusiastic with when he's teaching or she is teaching, fine. But if the teacher puts you down as regards, like you're challenging the teacher because of all the enthusiasm, end of studying that subject. that subject is no longer on the to-do list. So this happens. I am speaking from personal experience. Whereas on the other hand, my mathematics teacher, Father Lifu, this was an action-packed way how he taught. I mean, it was physical. He would squeeze your ears. He would put his knees into your ribs. He would throw the duster across the room. I mean, it was, but the learning and the capacity of what was going on, like he used to switch on something because in that room, stuff went on. Whereas when you came out of the room at the end of his class, because it was like an action-packed movie, you don't remember what went on in the room, but you have learned something. So I enjoyed his class very much. But yeah, and the stuff at times wanting to stay home, yeah, because if, school, like how they're teaching or whatever is not on, it's like, forget it. I don't want to waste my time. So.
Well, and may I say something to Lena?
Yeah, for sure.
Lena, I just really appreciate that my daughter is an 8 Earth child. And she was the reason why I got into what I now call neuropsychosomatics. Because I'm more of a psychologist than anything, it seems these days, but working through the means of the body. But she was so stubborn. She is, I mean, not so in past tense, like she is very stubborn. And I didn't know this about her when in her young age and all of our trauma. I was a single mom and we had a C-section. And in preschool, it was really hard to get her to go to school. And the teacher of the school got to a point where my daughter, Audrey, would be separated from the class on her own because they discovered that in the morning, that was how she could regulate on her. And then they would let her come into the class when she was ready.
That's beautiful.
But it was
teachers.
Interesting because the woman who ran the preschool in my little church, she had this insight. And rather than, push, because there are, obviously, there would be schools where that wouldn't be allowed or tolerated to not conform with the group, but they met that need for her. And I was blind to that in my own vortex of trying to get her in and out to school and all of the pressures that were, around getting to work on time. And if I had known, there are days when she's just not capable of going to school and she needs to fill up her cup. And now I let her do that. I'm like, okay, have a day home from school. And she enjoys it so much. She just like spends all day in this imaginary fantasy land.
Exactly.
And then the next day, she's just like this bright, beautiful, ready to give to the world again. But it was a long journey for us to get there. I wish I had you earlier, Rex.
Yes, Lena, let me go ahead. You wanted to add something to that about
No,
Isa.
it was Isa was very clear from very early in her life what she needed and wanted. So I just had to listen. It was like in kindergarten, I had to put her in kindergarten, and they had this little leave alone mat. So every time I picked her up from the kinder, she was sitting on this little mat. And when one of the children was sitting on that mat, none of the other kids could go there and take the things or whatever. So every afternoon when I picked her up, she was sitting on this little mat. So I learned quite quickly what she needed, actually. And she also had a beautiful teacher in the beginning who saw her first year. And I mean, she was sitting under the table in the school the whole first year. She couldn't sit on the chair and face the class as the rest of the kids. So she was sitting under, and the teacher let her sit there. It was beautiful. And then when she was ready, she could climb up and sit on the chair and be with the others. But it's like being in a room by yourself in a way.
Sure. I mean, the eighth earth is the eighth earth is like being on the mountaintop and kind of scanning the situation. And like, okay, well, I'll go down here. Or no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to stay right here and see what's happening and maybe read or look at some other things. It is like that. The eighth earth child is like that.
And I have myself had the experience. I didn't know that, but when I was a kid and I was playing piano, and I had an awful piano teacher, and she went away because she got sick or something, and I had this beautiful jazz player come to teach me. And it was so fun, about the enthusiasm that you were talking about. And then when she came back and I was supposed to be with her again, no way, I stopped, I quit. No more piano. Wow. Because as you said, you couldn't show your enthusiasm to the other old lady, but to this man I could. And when he was gone, I couldn't continue.
Sure. It is, the eighth earth is like that. That pattern is there. And it's just like recognizing that, then recognizing, how best to put it, recognizing that presence in your life, that authentic presence, and giving it room and space and finding ways to nourish it. You're on the program. I mean, you're just flowing with things, and you're in the dance. And luckily for me, on my side, my parents gave that space. I think especially my father, because I stopped going to church. Was to me only about dressing up and how people look, and somehow that didn't register for me. So I used to get on my bike and then ride to this big park and look at the horses gallop. And then I would buy, they had coconut water selling, or bananas, and I would have one of those. And then when I saw, because there was a church close by, when I saw the people coming out of the church, I'd get on my bike and ride back home like I went to church. Obviously, where I live in Belmont, the people would have told my mother or whatever, and I'm sure my mother would have said to my father, my father just would have told her, because my father didn't go to church, he would have just said, leave him alone, don't bother him. Because, there wasn't anything about it. But so that's what I used to do from the time I was around about 12, because, church didn't work for me. I mean, it was just all about dressing up. And it didn't have anything, so I prefer to read books about yoga or different things like that. But anyhow. Well, so I guess I was a naughty boy. I mean, like growing up.
I was just curious. I know we had promised people to do a little miniature reading, and
yes, sure. Sorry, I'm chatting so much. My apologies.
No, not at all, Rex. In fact, I'm not the school teacher saying but rather that Marion is an 8 Earth Child star, and she's our guest in the audience. So I didn't know if now would be since we're on the topic of 8 Earth Child, I didn't know if it would be cool to invite Marion on and just maybe ask her what.
So, that's 8 Earth, but what year she was born?
Let's see. Marion, I may have your information here on the thread, Rex, or Sarah may know immediately. Marion, do you want to unmute yourself? I can maybe help you with that, but there you go.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Sure.
I'm the 4th of March, 1954.
So March the 4th. Okay. So that's one
Water one.
water with the 8 earth child. Okay. So that's very similar to my pattern. So you have the 1 and the 8 earth. Okay. So where you want me to begin? Because there's so much.
Yes, there was a whole load going on there. What I find very interesting, when you said you saw all the ducks lining up and you were integrating that. Well, I have an issue with that, with being able to integrate. We say, all that I've learned, it's all up here, but coming down here, while I do readings and it works, but yet for myself, it's blocking. I'm blocking it in some way, or something is blocking me.
Okay.
And it affects actually me physically and health-wise as well now.
So what's your challenge health-wise, if I may ask?
I'm going to have to get it checked out after a lot of stress from grief and funerals. There was food actually stuck here in this area here, just under my ribs.
You mean the solar plexus area?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And food actually stuck there. That never happened to me before.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So what I've just there are many ways to go into this, and of course it's just a snippet of a reading. A key aspect with the pattern that you carry, the 8 earth child, is to give yourself permission to be who you are. And by that I mean, quote unquote, and let me talk from myself personally, he's different. He's not part of the group. He is whatever, all of that. And I know for a woman, that's more challenging than for a man, but the reality is to embrace that is important as regards being your authentic self. Because if you attempt to, how best to put it, if you attempt to put yourself in a mold, that's a problem. At many levels, for you, the 8 earth, as you know, as we have shared, as Lena shared, as Christiana shared about her daughter, as I have shared, you don't do the, it doesn't fit. It just does not fit. So you have to give yourself permission to allow that to be present. But a key thing that I want to, and I don't have an answer for you, but I have a key question for you. What do you like to do, or what is joy for you? What carries passion for you? And it doesn't have to have any logic behind it. But anyway, so what is your big passion, or what do you really enjoy? What's like brings the bright eyes and the big smile on your face? What would that be?
At the moment, I've thought this through, and I've been looking at it and trying to bring it out, looking for myself in that sense, because when I'm passionate about something, my eyes light up. I'm like, yeah, I know where I am. I know what's going on. But within the last 8 years or so, that's just hidden. It's because...
All right, so let me simplify that for you. Okay?
Yeah.
How I'm asking you is not really coming from here. How I'm asking you is like a child going into a toy shop and it sees something and it grabs it. That's mine. I like that. Whether they're selling it, they're not selling it, this is mine. And the child just gets all excited. That is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anything.
Okay.
As regards, you have to work it out. It's like that. So it just kind of moves you. To just give you a sense, and I think Lena would remember this. There was a period when I was teaching, when I had the school, when I would wear yellow socks. I enjoyed wearing yellow socks. I would always in the class. You remember that, Lena?
I remember that.
So this was a fun so when I had the class to do, when I started to put on the yellow socks, I felt so good. Forget about what I was teaching. I just was feeling good because I had yellow socks on. It's as ridiculous as that. And I'm telling the truth. I'm not kind of making it up. It was like that. So when I had, like the shiatsu weekend to teach, so that Saturday morning, when I put on that yellow socks, it was just like, this is going to be great. And so it was. And, so it's in that way I'm talking about it, giving yourself that kind of permission. That I wore yellow socks for the rest of my life? No, but it had a period when yellow socks was, a big part of how I taught, not only in the school, but also when I traveled in Europe or came to Ireland or was in Germany, I was wearing yellow socks. Yellow socks was my signature line.
I tend to do that now and then, put on very strange clothes that I like, and it's like, I'm out there.
Congratulations. Do more of that. That is very important. I mean, let people make their comments. That's their problem.
Marion.
Yes, that's their issue. Yes.
May I have permission to share a photo on the screen for you to see? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
It's let's see if I can pull it up. Can you see this?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
This is my 8 Earthchild daughter.
Oh, wow. She's beautiful. Love her clothes.
She's wearing a pink tutu underneath her green velvet Christmas dress with Dalmatian socks, as you can see, and red high heels. And I have learned to never question her clothing because it is a sense of true injury for her. If there's any hint in my voice, like, what are you wearing to school today? I cannot, because it wounds her. It literally, I can see her withering away. So I just learned to embrace this.
And, that's amazing. I'm delighted for her.
Yeah, when you said that about your clothes.
I do, and I wore purple lipstick when we went out. It was really deep purple lipstick, and at 68, as you know. And someone went away that was in the group with us and bought me a different lipstick so that I wouldn't wear the purple one again. But I will wear the purple one again. And what I do love doing, and thank you, Rex, for reminding me, is singing, dancing, and playing music.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So what type of music you like to play?
I use the drum and I use the rattle, and I don't know what to call them. I just, they're just instruments that I have in the room. And I reckon it's a reminder for me to go back and start moving around a bit with what I have.
Sure. So it's more like with the traditional Irish music and the instruments that they use.
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. This is my drum. I painted this.
Wow. Wow. No, bring it higher up. Bring it higher up. Let me see it more. Yes. Yes.
Is there any way you could play a little something of that? I don't know, Marion. Is that weird to ask?
I don't. My playing is more of keeping my mind quiet. It's like from the heart. I have a name for her. I haven't done it for a while.
Hold on a second. It's
okay.
Let me slow it down. You down. You're starting to rock in the rocking chair. I didn't see that before. This is so wonderful.
I do that when I play my drum.
No. You already shift the whole mood when you started to do that. I didn't realize you were in a rocking chair, but because I'm in a rocking chair too.
I'm not.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not in the rocking chair.
It looks like you are when you move.
Okay. All right. No. I'm in my cozy chair.
This is the type of fun that we have at the Orinoco Flows. I mean, it's alive, the spontaneity of who we are as human beings, and giving ourselves permission to be who we are, and the feel-good quality, and how you start seeing the smiles and the bright eyes just coming alive as the person connects with their child star.
Okay.
I mean, it's as simple as that. And
Oh, wow.
you're connecting with the subconscious mind, because you're opening up a whole other level of communication with yourself by accepting yourself as you are. And the universe then becomes, a place of communication.
Okay. Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Were you about to play something when you were leaning?
I'll just give a very small sample of how I do this. Okay.
This is on the Orinoco River now. This is happening.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. No, that's very special. Plus also, to me, hearing it, it sounded very much like it came from the Orinoco, because there are similar beats with the indigenous people and in those sorts of areas with that, and the sound of your voice had similar qualities.
Okay.
So thanks for sharing that with us.
You're very welcome.
Deeply
It was my
grateful. Thank you.
privilege. It is my privilege.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Rex, I have spontaneity is arising right now. I just wanted to share with you, Marion, that when you were sharing that, and I was just having this somatic experience, and Rex said this is happening on the Orinoco. One of the essences that we're trying to evoke in this whole community of sharing is the magic of the elements. And here you are, an earth child, and you use a drum. And I know through my own connection with ancient wisdom teachings that the earth, is symbolized by dragons and dragon energy. And in the North, the Nordics and the Celtics, in order to evoke that earth element, they would beat drums. And one of my favorite bands is Wardruna, out of Norway or Denmark, somewhere up there. But when you did that just then, I just could feel the earth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Doesn't have it can make sense, but that's the way you have your words about it, and that's sense for you. So that's great.
Well, Rex, I know you this is so true for early life, like how we can tie back this type of healing, outside of the box healing, to how we can heal people from woundings that they had in their earliest years. I mean, even in the womb, like but just tying this all back together. And I know you had Lena's last child to go through. I'm just curious with that question present, like how you tie in the child star and maybe Lena's third child. I don't know if he's had challenges that that you address through, nourishing elements of his child star.
Let's see here what's I think that question is a cliffhanger for the next things, because it's one I can go quite deep with many answers, but keep the question. But let's kind of complete here with Lena with or was there something else about Isa you wanted to say before we move on? Or
no?
Okay. And then your son?
Wilmer is called. His name is Wilmer. We call him Will. Born 98, November 98, 6th of November 98.
So 98, the 6th of November?
November.
Okay.
Yes.
So 98 is a 2 Earth year, and November we're dealing with a 3 wood child star. So we have the pattern of the 2 and the 3 wood child star. So the 3 Would Child Star is about enthusiasm. I mean, if there's no enthusiasm with whatever is happening in the day, then that's a problem. Then, because the whole thing about life is happening and like needing to kind of be it run, be to jump, be it to, but doing things and being physically active is important rather than just sitting. So in a way, it's kind of like the opposite to the either. It's like going in the opposite direction. And enthusiasm is a big part of whatever he's involved in, and the physical activity about the body and moving it and it being dynamic. All of these things would tend to be a sort of a need or a passion. Any comments about that?
I mean, he was very physical when he was little, but now, I mean, he's become very sitting still. He's very lazy, and it's actually not good for him. I mean, it's not good for him. Okay. So, I mean, if he's not moving around, the body digestive system doesn't work and all that. So, I mean, and he knows it, but he's extremely lazy.
Okay, the extreme lazy situation, because he carries a pattern. I'm getting into something deeper than we are talking about because I'm bringing in his adult star. The pattern with the 2 to the 3 in that format, what we're dealing with is an aspect of grief. So there's some level of some challenge or something that has gone on for him where there's, there's some level of grief that has impacted him. And that at times can be unconsciously or can be conscious. Some family member passing on that he's close to, generally on the male side. So generally, like on your husband's side of the family, some relative or whatever, and the contact may not have been much, but sometimes that may have an impact. I don't know if any of that fits.
Maybe his grandmother, Sven's mother. Maybe his grandmother, Sven's mom.
Oh, your husband's mother.
My husband's mother. I mean, she passed away like 6-8 years ago. Yeah, it could be. I never thought about that. So how can you address that? Because, I mean, he's not aware of it.
I hear you. I hear you.
It's interesting.
And you would identify, okay, so would you identify that the laziness started about 6 years ago, 6 to 8 years ago? Roughly.
Hang on, I have to think. Because it was when we came back from living in Bali that she died like 2 or 3 years after, so 2013 or 2014. So it's 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he was like, yeah, maybe actually. Because he was very active before that. When we lived in Bali, he was doing sports every day. And was really good at it. And then he just slowed it down. Yes, but he's not aware. He's not aware of the grief.
I hear you. I'm not doubting that. I'm not. I'm just. This is part. This is part of the how large the context is of the dynamics with these star patterns. That pattern, the 2, like how that is, and again, next year I'm going to, delve into just looking at that pattern and showing many cases. So that expression with the passing on of some member, or sometimes it may not be a dying, but it can be that they leave and they go somewhere else.
Can it be a dog?
Ravi Shankar, what's that? Sorry?
Can it be a dog?
Can be, but generally it's more in the but this pattern is generally on the kind of it has a male aspect, and it has something as regards that. So Ravi Shankar, the late Indian sitar player, his father, when he was around 10 or 11, his father left to move to London to, I think, either do law or something. And that impacted him in a big way. I'm not so sure about laziness occurred, but he wrote about that and he did speak about that. And he carries a pattern like that. In fact, he carries a pattern 7-8. He has that pattern.
Like Isa.
Yeah, but he carries that pattern.
Mm.
And it had that, of course, and then, the whole thing with him with his music and anyway. But as regards to coming back to your question, what to do?
Yeah.
Discovering like what is a creative expression that really moves him, or that he's involved in, or that he feels motivated towards. Really tweaking that out and bringing it into a place of like putting energy behind that, because the spark is already there, but it's hidden. So whatever that spark, and I'm bringing it into the area of, be it music, be it painting, be it but creative. It's like a creating of a type of art. It's creating of something that comes from inside. And you have a lot of different artists who carry such a pattern. Picasso, same pattern. Dizzy Gillespie, the trumpeter, Ravisha. I mean, you're talking about, the top of the edge of the creative people. When they really put their energy behind their creations, the world is their oyster. So whatever that is, so that would be one part. And then the other part, once that switches on, or he starts rolling in that, the thing about the granny or whatever, like, showing certain images, or, so did he do something for granny? Just, but not at the beginning, but, whatever. And then something else may start. And you, with your skills, Lena, and your psychic capacities and spiritual practice, I mean, I'm sure, you could spin that out immediately.
It's just that he's so used to it. So I mean,
sorry, I didn't hear you.
He's so used to me talking in those kind of ways that, he's like a little bit, like, I have to find my own way, Mom.
Okay.
I respect that.
No, the thing that the 3-wood child start finding their own way is very important.
Yes, for him it's extremely important. And he's saying now, okay, I've come to realize that this and this and this and this, you were right about that, but I had to find out by myself.
Yeah, no, the finding out by themselves is the key. But you want to say something, Sarah? Sarah carries a 3-wood child.
Yeah, thank you. I was beginning to put something in the chat there, Lena, because I'm finding, for example, anything like doing a yoga class, it's really triggering for me at the moment. If somebody says you've got to do this, you've got to do this, I really want to move in the way that I want to be moving. But I was just wondering, was there a time, as he's quite young, at school, where he was really misunderstood or something? Like we were speaking about the 8 child, was there a time when he was packaged or boxed in by any situation, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. He played music when he was... No, that wasn't. He really wanted to do it then when he at gymnasium, but no, I don't think so that he was boxed in.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
he was very shy when he was extremely shy when he was younger.
And this can be a question to follow up with Rex after, and in light of time on our call today, but it was brought up just when Rex said that grief and loss, and holding the question of how we know that experience can trigger subconscious elements. So the passing of his, grandmother, did that remind him subconsciously of something else, like in the prenatal, in the life there, or I don't know, but it's just something to hold.
He died when he was 11 months. He fell and crashed his head and broke his neck. But I mean, so he was dead for I don't know how long. I got him back to life with, heart, this first aid stuff, and he healed. So I mean, he's totally healed. He was only 11 months, but I mean, that was a big thing that happened. So he is one of those who has died and come back to life.
Wow.
I don't know if that is putting. I mean.
Maybe if you tell me that the sort of period exactly, or when that happened.
It was a day after Sven's birthday, so it was the 11th of October, 99.
11th of October, 99.
Yeah.
So okay, so he would have been just over a year old.
No, he was less. He was 11 months. He's born in November.
Okay. Yes, sure. Okay. One water year. And then the 9. What date in October?
11th.
11th?
Mm.
Okay, 1 with the 9. I can't to pinpoint something to say not really. At times such things happen. I'm going to digest that and see what comes up, and of course, share it and get back to you, Lena. But nothing sort of hits the computer immediately with the aha moment didn't happen, because normally with these kinds of conversations, like the computer just comes up with something, but at the moment I think 1 second. Lena, where we are here with, wow, my voice has changed. Where we are with this conversation about your son has a Freya type quality about it. And I'm not meaning that it's Freya, not at all, but it has a Freya type quality about it, in the sense of Nordic forces, whatever, the shamanic aspect of ancient Sweden, these sorts of things. This has some link with that. And the kind of quote unquote laziness, I read it more as hibernating.
Okay.
Ooh.
Like a kind of the bear going into the cave, and having to be healed or whatever, and it's like, leave me alone, I will find my way. But it has this, so that is what is kind of crossing my mind. That I could put more words on it at the moment, no, but as I stay with that, something will come. But it's more in that, and the whole connection with you, with Freya, so that whole kind of mythical domain is in the mandala of your life. So yeah,
because he has, I mean, we were extremely close when he was growing up, him and I. More so, I mean, I'm very close to all my kids, but I mean, with him it was a different quality of connection.
No, I hear you. Plus also the thing about dying and coming back to life. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like all cold in my body.
That is not how best to put it. That's another totally out of the box kind of conversation. But this aspect of the Orinoco River and the flows is the norm in these conversations. This is not thing, we started that way, Lena. We started with the thing. So talking about that now, and when that kind of popped up, my voice changed. It was just very different. It was a different person talking.
But anyway, I mean, in a way, I said, I mean, he almost
ahead,
knows. I mean, when we think about it now, I haven't been thinking about it for a while, but I mean, he also he also almost choked to death. So I had to do this boom thing because he had something in his throat. So he almost choked to death. Then he was like 2 or 3 years old, 2 or 3. And he also almost drowned. So I mean, it's only fire that he hasn't gone through, but all the other elements he's been trying to be killed by without succeeding.
Oh.
So I mean, yes.
May I just say something, Rex, about I just listened to the Earthkeepers Summit by Alberto Velodo. If some of you have heard of him, he's a shaman from South America. But a woman she has a Siberian shamanic history, but she shared that a shaman, a true mark of a shaman, is someone who goes through near-death experiences, usually more than once in their life. Like it's very common for them to be struck by lightning, for instance, or drown and like die and be resuscitated. So when Rex mentioned, I was already cold, and listeners on the call are feeling this somatics too. And when he mentioned the cave and this connection to Freya, I just want to come full circle in interest of time, and that those who are listening now and in the future and who didn't hear the first call, Freya is this mythical goddess that you came in relationship with, that was tied to your child's star, that Rex, this was his kind of first moment of really engaging with the 9-star key in such a profound healing way. And that's why we had invited you as a guest speaker, this is part of the beginnings of the Orinoco, and you are really a beginning story for Rex. And this connection with Nordic and these elements is just so interesting. And this is what we're witnessing in the Orinoco as she flows. Here she shows up again on the second call, and how it all ties together. And it doesn't make any rational, logical sense. But I will encourage to leave us all with that question in our hearts. And Rex, I'm going to turn off my screen and play a little music while you say some comments and in summation to our call today. Would that be okay?
So what you're asking of me, to just close off?
Yes, and while you're doing so, I'm gonna go ahead and play a little bit of the music that we heard earlier.
Okay. Okay. I want to take the opportunity to thank Lena and thank everyone participating, Sarah, Marian, Christiana, Jackie, who am I missing? Yep, for being here, and also for thanking and Lena for sharing about her children in that open space as regards what's so for them, and which has contributed to our learning and to our experience. And I also want to thank the Orinoco, that whole aspect of that water and its flowing quality, of opening other possibilities for us and making us aware of deeper levels of life that at times we don't recognize, but as we participate in these conversations with the presence of the Orinoco, things are revealed and questions are left for us to explore, to discover. And this evening, a lot went on for me. Thank you very much, Lena. Thanks for being here. Thank everybody. Thanks the space that I'm in and the space that you all are in. We give thanks. And the next time that we connect would be on the 30th, so in 2 weeks' time. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll get back to you, Lena, about your son. This is a very interesting Thank you.
Hmm.